Joe here with S3 Archery, and as promised, I wanted to get out a first impressions review on my brand new Great Northern Bushbow. So, as this is just a first impressions video, it's not a review. I'm not gonna talk about the performance too much in the sense of whether it's a better bow than any other bow I've owned or whatnot, because I just haven't had the time to build a relationship with this bow, and that's kind of what you have to do with every traditional bow, is give it, 6 months to a year to just learn it and understand what it takes in order for it to shoot great. So I'm not going to do that, but I wanted to go through each of the components of a bow one by one, basically, and just say what the first impressions are for myself of this bow, as it would be for you if you were to go and actually go to Great Northern Company and see these bows in person. Just that's first impressions, the product quality, the performance in the sense of what it feels like in your hand or how loud it is when it goes off. Build quality is a big one, and then the profile of the bow. I want to show you guys the profile of the bow, just because it's just a beautiful bow, and part of the allure of this type of bow in my mind is that D bow, that D shape. It's not really a reflex deflex longbow at all. It's pretty much a traditional straight limbed longbow, which is just amazing in my opinion. It just is what a bow should look like. So go over that. So let's start off and talk about build quality. So this is built by Jerry Brum of Great Northern Longbow Company. They're out of Michigan. Just amazing work. So the woods that are in this one is Paduke wood as well as red elm limbs. And I can say when I bought this bow, I scanned it for quite a while, and there were zero imperfections on this bow. There are some imperfections on it now because I've shot it well over 500 times in the last 3 days, trying to get an understanding of what this bow can do. But at the very beginning, before I touched it, it was immaculate. It was just amazing how pristine this bow was. And everywhere from the glass to the wood choice that he's using to the string that he made for me, it's all just amazing. So great job, Jerry. Just unbelievable work. I'm just astounded at what people can do sometimes. So this is just a piece of art that you can actually use as a weapon at the same time. Just amazing. So super cool. Next thing, let's talk about the performance of it. So like I said, I've put about 500 shots through it, maybe even closer to 600 in the last 3 days. And the one thing I noticed is you got to get used to the grip. Obviously, it's got a longbow grip. It's not a recurve grip at all, so you're going to torque the bow a little bit if you're not used to it. But once you figure out how to hold this bow, it's pretty incredible how accurate it is. So I've been shooting it 500-600 times, and the one thing that I can say about this bow is that compared to my recurves, whether it be my Bear Archery Kodiak or whether it be the Bob Lee Legacy, just the nature of the beast when it comes to these D-style longbows, they are so stable and they cannot torque. They're just incredible as far as giving feedback during the shot. So unlike a recurve that you can torque the limb tips and then it shoots and the arrow goes in a direction that you weren't expecting, with these longbows, you pull back and either the bow will move if you're trying to torque it because the limbs can't torque, or it stays nice and steady if you have great form and it goes right where you're aiming. And there's really not much more drama to it. It's just it does what you think it's going to do, and that's why so many people love longbows, and even more so love these D-style longbows. They're just so stable. The limbs are so stout. So torque is just a non-issue with this type of bow. So pretty amazing. I did run it through a chrono. So my Bear Archery Kodiak, it's a 45.5-pound bow at 29.5 inches. And I'm shooting a 472 grain arrow out of it, and it shoots 175 feet per second. When I take that exact same arrow and I put it in this bow, 47-pound bow at 29.5 inches, and I shoot it, so it's a perfect 10 grains per pound, which is a really great place to be if you're new to traditional archery, or if you're just looking for a great do-it-all arrow, whether it be for target or for hunting. 10 grains per pound is fantastic. This bow shoots 162 feet per second at 10 grains per pound. So while it's less than the Bear Archery Kodiak, what's amazing about it is that this is a D style longbow, has nothing to make it faster, and the fact that it's only 15 feet per second, about slower than the Bear Archery Kodiak, is just an amazing feat in my mind. So very satisfied with the speed out of this bow. And when I go and I shoot it, what's really what I'm so excited about shooting this bow full time now going forward is the fact that my groups right now are so consistent. I'm grouping about 4 inches low of where I think it's going to go, which could be the speed, could just be the bow style not being used to it, but they're about 4 inches lower than I think they're going to be, but they're all packed together. There's very little left-right misses going on like I have with my recurves. And like I said, that's just because of the limb tip torque. There just isn't any with a longbow, so I know where it's going to go. And I'm very excited about that because this bow, if you do everything that you're supposed to do, the bow does everything it's supposed to do, and it's going to hit right where you're aiming. And if you do miss with this bow and you had decent form, it's going to be up or down, because the lefts and rights really come from poor form or from torque in the limbs, which is still poor form. But because this bow can't have the torque, as long as you have the good form, it's going straight. So I think I'm going to put up some pretty amazing shots with this bow. We're going to use it for stumping, obviously, in the summer. I'll use it for hunting. I'll just use it for some practicing in the backyard, maybe going and doing some 3D shoots and whatnot. But this will be my full-time bow, and it shoots straight. It shoots right where you're aiming, so love that. What else? I can tell you the quietness of this bow. It is whisper quiet. When I first bought it, my Bobley Legacy as well as my Bear Kodiak, they shoot gold tip 55-75s with 145 grain tip up front, and that bear shaft's tuned perfect. I bought it. I got this bow in the mail, and I put my 55-75 through it, and it was really, really stiff. So I went out and actually bought some Easton Axis traditional 500 spine arrows with a 145 tip up front, and those even are too stiff. So for some reason, it's not like in the carbons, but when I put a 70-pound cedar through this bow, so 32-inch 70-pound cedar through this bow in particular, it tunes perfect. So, and it only gets quieter with the cedar arrows. So I'll take a shot with these carbons, and you'll see how quiet it is, but it gets even quieter when you go to a cedar shaft or a heavier shaft. But definitely this bow, it appears that, I want to say it likes a weaker arrow, but I don't know if that's really the case, because a 70-pound cedar out of a 47-pound bow is still a really good number. It's just that for some reason with the carbon isn't reacting out of this bow how it probably how it does out of the other bows. So it's something that you want to pay attention to. So let's just set this bow up. Let's get a couple profile shots of this bow, and then I'll take a couple shots and we'll see how quiet it is. And that'll pretty much conclude the first impressions. And otherwise, just look forward to seeing this bow in majority of our videos going forward all through 2015. So one thing that I didn't touch on is that this bow is cut 1/8 inch almost to center. So out from center. That's what I want to say. 1/8 of an inch out from center. So it's not cut to center and it's not cut past center like a lot of bows out there. So this is a little bit closer to a true traditional longbow that wouldn't have a shelf at all. So you do need a weaker arrow with this. So if you've got all your bows are cut to center or cut past center, you are going to need a weaker arrow for this bow. So just a little tip there. So let's set the camera up, get a profile, take a few shots, and call it a day. So hang on. Alright, so let's just get a couple profile shots here of the brand new Great Northern Bushbow. I'm just going to pull it back and probably take the shot just so I don't have to let it down, but we'll go through a couple of those and you can hear the sound of it, and I won't tweak the volume at all so you can hear my voice. This is normal talking, and we'll see how loud the bow is. And no silencers, of course, very light arrows, carbon arrows, so if you get cedars or you get aluminums, it's just going to get quieter. So let's take a couple shots here. sounds like it's loud, but it's just hitting the target, and I've got cardboard on the target and whatnot, so that's why. But if you actually listen to the bow going off, it is very quiet. Okay, I'll set up a little bit further back so then we can see the real quietness, because I think the block is probably making it sound louder than it really is. Alright, so I just stepped back a little bit further. We're at about 15 yards. I'm just going to try to take a couple shots from here. I still might be really close, but it's all about the sound. That's what we're looking for. So Great Northern Bushbow, and just listening to the bow go off. Shooting 480 grain Eastern Axis traditionals, 125s up front. And like I said, shooting at about 15 yards, just so you can hear it. So let's give it a couple more shots here. It's just whisper quiet. It's crazy. This is now definitely the quietest bow that we've shot at S3 Archery. Dan's got the same bow, Great Northern Bushbow, 60-inch, and it's just as quiet. But after I put some silencers on this string, it's going to be insane how quiet it is. And then I'm going to shoot some about 580 grain cedars out of it. We're going to the Kalamazoo Expo, actually, put on by Jerry Brummett from Great Northern, and gonna get some nice cedar arrows there probably, and be rocking those out of this bow, and that'll make this bow insanely quiet. So look forward to seeing those too. So let's take one more shot and just listen to it, and call it a day. So Great Northern Bushbow, 47 pounds, 29.5 inches, Duke riser with red elm limbs, beautiful limbs, and made by Jerry Brum from Great Northern Great Northern Archery. So thank you so much, Jerry, if you see this, and otherwise we will see you at Kalamazoo in 5 days. Looking forward to it. So have a great weekend, everyone.